He's the king. So you think you guys got a lot in common? In some aspects, yeah, we do. How are you guys? They're both.
Terence Crawford isn't leaving anything to chance against Canelo Alvarez. Instead of training alone, he's brought in the expertise of the first man to ever defeat Canelo in the ring. Aware of the weight difference, Crawford has chosen to start training camp early, giving himself time to add the necessary weight and adjust to the division before their potential showdown in September. Though he plans to take a short break in the middle of the year, his focus remains on being fully prepared for the challenge ahead. Before that, Crawford welcomed Floyd Mayweather to his camp, and the two had a great time training together. As expected, much of Mayweather's focus was on sharpening Crawford's defense. They worked on the shoulder roll, drilled footwork, and practiced more body feints to refine Crawford's movement in the ring. When Mayweather fought Canelo Alvarez, the Mexican was just 23, while Floyd was in his mid-30s. Yet, Mayweather's defense was so sharp that Canelo struggled to land clean punches over 12 rounds. Over the years, Floyd has trained several top fighters, including Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, and Tank Davis, all benefiting from his deep boxing knowledge. Now, his latest protege is Terence Crawford, who had plenty to say about his time training with the legendary champion. You might wonder why Terence Crawford, a seasoned fighter with 40 bouts under his belt, is turning to Mayweather for guidance so late in his career, just a few fights away from retirement. The reason is simple. Crawford's next fight marks his debut at 168 pounds. As a result, he sought out Floyd Mayweather, a 5-division world champion, for guidance. Recently, in an interview, Mayweather reminisced about his iconic fight against Canelo Alvarez at that weight class.
Gave the sport of boxing their whole life and sacrificed a lot inside that square circle. They should feel that way. So if he feels that way, more power to him. I had one fight, and the fight wasn't...
I had one fight at a catchweight, but that wasn't my idea. Anyone can look it up. It was in an article. At one point, I believe Canelo thought I was scared of him, so he said, "Floyd doesn't want to fight me. I'm willing to meet him at 152 or 152 and a half." I called his bluff and said, "If you want to do it, let's do it at 152 or 152 and a half. But after Canelo made the weight, there wasn't any clause restricting how much he could rehydrate. He weighed in at 152 or 152 and a half.
It was at a catch weight, but it wasn't my idea. So at one particular time, you guys can, anybody, you can go online and pull this up. It was an article. So with Canelo said, I believe Canelo at one particular time thought I was scared of him.
Perhaps Terence Crawford saw this as the perfect opportunity to learn, given how much he still needs to adapt to his new weight class in less than a month. Despite constant comparisons between him and Floyd Mayweather Jr., Crawford has never tried to take away from Mayweather's well-earned legacy. He respects the 50-0 champion and, when asked about their similarities, he had nothing but praise. "He's the king," Crawford said, fully acknowledging Mayweather's greatness.
Hit and not get hit, and to make the adjustments that he's made to certain fighters.
Crawford continued, explaining that while he and Mayweather have a lot in common, they're also a bit different. He pointed out that he tends to take more risks early in his fights, but Floyd did the same earlier in his career. Crawford mentioned that it really depends on which version of Floyd you're referring to, Money, Mayweather, or Pretty Boy Floyd. He highlighted that Pretty Boy was all about seeking and destroying opponents, but as Floyd's career progressed, he started dealing with hand injuries, which made it harder for him to maintain the same power. Plus, Floyd was moving up in weight and fighting bigger opponents, which also affected his style.
I think, I take more chances,
Excuse me, Crawford.
right now. But earlier in his career, he was taking a lot of chances as well. So,
As Crawford mentioned, He and Mayweather share a lot in common, but boxing fans often compare the two to figure out who's the better fighter. In fact, one news source even named Crawford as the likely winner if they were to face off. However, when it comes to pure boxing skills, it's tough to find anyone who has delivered more sweet science masterclasses than Floyd Mayweather. His defensive genius and ring IQ set the standard in boxing.
Depends on which Floyd Mayweather you talk about. Do you talk about money or do you talk about Pretty Boy? Because Pretty Boy was the seek and destroy.
Mayweather's crisp jab, precise timing, and counterpunching skills allowed him to dismantle a long list of opponents. He accomplished this across two different phases of his career, each showcasing his adaptability and mastery in the ring.
Reach from the left hooks again. He's a lightning hand speed extraordinary. Left hook drops him, and then he hit his head off the en masse here at the engine.
As Crawford pointed out, Pretty Boy Floyd was the aggressive force, always pressing the action and taking the fight to his opponents. On the other hand, Money Mayweather, years later, used his brilliance to outthink and outbox his rivals, grinding out victories with calculated precision. No matter which style you favor, both phases of Mayweather's career contributed to the legend he is today. Meanwhile, boxing fans are still in awe of Crawford's performance against Spence in his last fight, which left a lasting impression.
He drops him again. That's a hard knockdown that time.
Whether it was his power jab that consistently pierced through Spence's guard or his precise timing with counterpunches, Crawford showcased elite boxing skills. It wasn't the first time, but never before had we seen him display this level of ability against a fighter of Spence's caliber. When it comes to pure boxing talent, it's hard to argue against Mayweather's dominance. However, Crawford's style is different, more explosive and still highly effective in its own right. So, how would their styles match up if Crawford were to face Mayweather in his prime? Who would land the jab first? Who would be the more effective counterpuncher? There are so many possible outcomes to this matchup that it's hard to choose a clear winner. It might be best to call this one a draw. We've seen Mayweather time and time again lull his opponents into a false sense of security, then expertly lure them to the center of the ring. There, he'd analyze and process everything, creating a blueprint to break his opponents down piece by piece. Mayweather's unmatched ring IQ, along with his mantra of hit and not get hit, was the key to his undefeated career and 5 world titles across multiple weight classes. Crawford, on the other hand, has demonstrated his own high-level ring IQ, becoming undisputed at junior welterweight and now at welterweight. While Mayweather was known for his lightning-fast hand speed, especially when counterpunching, Crawford's slashing angles and whip-like punches give him the edge in speed. Of Mayweather's 50 wins, 27 came by knockout, while Crawford boasts 40 wins, with 31 coming by way of knockout, and he's still going strong. Now, consider Crawford's brilliance in his fight against Spence, dropping him 3 times on his way to a dominant 9th-round TKO. Beating a power-punching, body-attacking fighter like Spence, who had systematically broken down fighters like Kell Brook, Sean Porter, and Yadenis Ugas to become the unified world welterweight champion, was no easy task. Yet, Crawford made it look effortless, and his power played a major role in that. In contrast, Mayweather's defensive brilliance was on full display with his signature Philly shell defense, raising his shoulder to absorb punches while using his free hand to pick his shots. This defensive boxing combined with counterpunching was the epitome of tactical mastery, showing just how well Floyd turned defense into offense.
Look at this defense, unbelievable. You young boxing fans that are watching Floyd Mayweather, you're seeing one of the greatest defensive fighter of all time. I mean, that's how strong.
You're wearing, then he's nowhere. You think you...
And again, it's not just hand quickness.
Crawford certainly has slick defense, but Mayweather elevated defensive boxing to near perfection. So, how would a prime Crawford fare against a prime Mayweather? After a tense first round where both fighters feel each other out, we'd likely see Crawford come out more active, staying busy with his offense, landing punches even if many are absorbed by Mayweather's shoulder and elbow. By the middle rounds, Mayweather's style would likely begin to take over. His ability to control the pace and set up shots with his jab would allow him to start picking Crawford apart, banking some of those rounds with clean, precise jabs and smart counterpunching. It would be a battle of styles. Crawford's explosive offense versus Mayweather's defensive genius and tactical brilliance.
The movement of the head, the way he rolls with punches. Look at the way he makes it miss. I mean, here we go. Through a series of punches and nothing really landed. Terrific fight. Well, Mayweather. All right.
With constant pressure, Crawford's firepower could certainly challenge Mayweather, possibly even hurting him at times. Despite how close the fight would be, Crawford's relentless pressure and volume, along with his whiplashing punches, might be enough to win the judges over and earn him a points victory against Mayweather's more calculated, defensive style. Shifting gears, moving up in weight is never easy, and Crawford is determined not to make the same mistakes that Canelo Alvarez did years ago when he faced Dimitri Bivol. Canelo's ambition took a hit after he met his match in the undefeated WBA light heavyweight champion, Dimitri Bivol. Despite being a 4-division world champion, Canelo landed just 84 punches in 12 rounds, as Bivol's defense and sharp, accurate punches controlled the fight. Bivol pulled off the upset with a unanimous decision, with all 3 judges scoring it 115 to 113 in his favor. CBS Sports scored it much wider, 119 to 109 for Bivol. It was a fight that appeared far less competitive than the scorecards suggested.
Look at him go. Oh my word, Bivol! And Canelo wants more of it.
6 months after becoming the first undisputed super middleweight champion of the 4-belt era, Canelo Alvarez moved back up to 175 pounds for the first time since claiming the WBC title via knockout against Sergey Kovalev in 2019. During the same week, he hinted at a possible future move to heavyweight. However, Alvarez found himself unable to break through the technical strength of Dimitri Bivol, a former Russian amateur star. Bivol's strength lies in his ability to neutralize the offense of his opponents. His jab was on point throughout the fight, and whenever Alvarez landed a punch, Bivol responded with clean combinations. Bivol allowed Alvarez to close the distance, but he never gave him a clean strike zone to work with. Most of the damage Alvarez managed to land was on Bivol's left shoulder and arm, as Bivol maintained a solid defense behind his high guard. Alvarez, whose only previous defeat came against Floyd Mayweather in 2013, connected on just 17% of his punches against Bivol, according to CompuBox, and was outlanded by a margin of 152 to 84. After the fight, he told reporters that he thought he was ahead on the scorecards heading into the final rounds. "He's a great champion. Sometimes in boxing, you win or lose. I lost today, and he won," Alvarez said. "He's a really good fighter. He comes in and goes out. I also felt his power. It was a good victory for him." In an effort to avoid a similar fate, Crawford has turned to Mayweather for advice. As for Floyd, his legacy as both a fighter and trainer speaks for itself. The most recent fighter to train under Mayweather shocked the world with a major win earlier this year, further cementing Floyd's influence in the sport. In a lengthy interview with Patrick Bet-David on a podcast, Ryan Garcia, the junior welterweight contender from Victorville, California, opened up about his well-known friendship with Floyd "Money" Mayweather. He made it clear that he holds the Hall of Fame fighter in high regard, respecting him more than most, even within his own inner circle. When Bet-David asked which high-profile person in his life had the license to give him tough, unfiltered criticism, Garcia immediately named Mayweather. Later, Bivol was asked for his thoughts on a widely discussed potential showdown between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, 2 of the most talented fighters in the sport today.
Wanting to fight Canelo 3 divisions up. Good idea, bad idea?
I don't remember sizes of Terence Crawford.
Welterweight.
If he big, actually.
Maybe he's probably...
Bivol recalled a key lesson he learned when he first entered the boxing gym. Respecting weight classes is essential. However, he expressed admiration for Terence Crawford, calling him one of his favorite active fighters. "He has very good skills. Maybe he could show us something," Bivol said. "He already knows what to do, and his coach knows. They'll find a solution." When directly asked if he thought Crawford could beat Canelo, Bivol said, "I can imagine it." This shows how much Bivol values Crawford's abilities, even when facing a naturally larger opponent. Bivol went on to highlight Crawford's ring intelligence, suggesting it could give him an edge over Canelo. "I can tell you that Crawford is one of the best fighters in the world right now. I see him with more boxing IQ."
Came to the boxing gym. One of the first lesson which I should learn, it's like you should respect weight classes. You know, yeah, what it means. But Terence Crawford now is one of the
Hall of Famer and ESPN boxing analyst Timothy Bradley Jr. is in favor of Terence Crawford in a potential matchup with Salt Canelo Alvarez. Bradley took to his YouTube channel to argue his case for Crawford, pointing out that while people focus on the weight difference, Crawford has only recently moved up from welterweight to 154 pounds. In contrast, Alvarez has been fighting at 168 pounds since late 2020. Bradley also questioned Alvarez's knockout power, saying, "Oh, he's going to knock him out? When was the last time Canelo knocked somebody out?" He went on to highlight that Alvarez's most recent stoppage came against Caleb Plant in November 2021, emphasizing that it's been a while since Canelo's knockout streak was truly active.
I don't know, someone told me to study Canelo, study Crawford. Crawford about to beat the shit out of Canelo Alvarez. I'm letting y'all know right now, he about to beat the brakes off of Canelo Alvarez.
Since then, Canelo Alvarez has failed to score knockouts against established opponents like Dmitry Bivol in a loss and a 40-year-old Gennady Golovkin. He has also gone the distance with fighters thought to be far below his skill level, such as John Ryder, Jermall Charlo, and Edgar Berlanga. Charlo, naturally a junior middleweight, went the distance with Canelo but wasn't even remotely competitive with the super middleweight king. Bradley fired back at those who claimed Canelo would knock Crawford out, saying, "Y'all can quit with that. He's going to knock Crawford out? Come on, man." He also brought up the recent fight between Oleksandr Usyk and Tyson Fury, noting that Fury, quote-unquote, 50 pounds heavier, couldn't dominate Usyk. Canelo's the same height as Crawford. He's not a natural 168 pounds fighter. Usyk is a great fighter, absolutely, but you know who else is a great one? Crawford. The great ones know how to figure it out.
Yes, he is. Number 2, Devin Haney. You want to get back, man, go back to your roots, bro. Go back to where you started, bro.
Bradley pointed out that Crawford's reach of 74 inches is 3.5 inches longer than Canelo's, which gives him a significant advantage in controlling distance. He also praised Crawford's ability to reduce his opponent's output with his counterpunching. Alvarez is already known for being a low-output fighter, and Bradley believes Crawford could win a decision by staying at range, using straight shots to interrupt Canelo's looping hooks and tiring him out down the stretch. Bradley also took a jab at Canelo, referencing the unified super middleweight champion's apparent avoidance of David Benavidez. Imitating Canelo's higher-pitched voice, Bradley said, "Remember what you said, easy fight, easy fight, easy fight." While many boxing analysts share Bradley's opinion, most in the fight game still believe the size and power difference between Crawford and Canelo is too much for Crawford to overcome in this matchup.
Where'd you start? You started in Mexico, man. Go back, get one of those guys out of there, man. Go back, start there. That's where you start. Go back to your roots, bro. Get some of that humble pie, bro. Go back, start where you started. Start where you started.
Bradley, known for his bold opinions, was confident in his unpopular take. "I'm going to get back to my Haterade," he said with a laugh, sipping his drink. You already know. Whether the boxing world will see a Canelo versus Crawford matchup depends largely on Alvarez's willingness. Crawford, who became the undisputed welterweight champion in July 2023 after stopping Errol Spence Jr. in 9 rounds, made even more history earlier this year. He captured the World Boxing Association title at 154 pounds, outpointing Israel Madrimov to become a 4-division champion. Meanwhile, Canelo, the Mexican boxing icon, has also enjoyed significant success in recent years.
Just with Canelo, obviously, he had his fight with Edgar Berlanga announced recently. Not received necessarily a positive outcome and reaction he'd have liked. What did you make of the Canelo?
After claiming the undisputed super middleweight title in 2021, Canelo Alvarez faced a setback when he lost to the then WBA light heavyweight champion Dmitry Bivol. However, the 34-year-old has since bounced back with 5 consecutive wins, defeating the likes of Gennady Golovkin, Jermel Charlo, and Edgar Berlanga. Legendary trainer-turned-analyst Teddy Atlas shared his thoughts on the potential mega-fight between Canelo and Crawford during an interview with Fight Hub TV. Atlas expressed how difficult it would be to pick against the American southpaw, saying, "Very few people have the appetite or inclination for challenging themselves. Mr. Crawford does. I ain't never going against that guy. Father Time might catch him, but I don't know if a weight class can catch him."
Listen, I think Berlanga's a talented kid who's getting better. He's improved recently. I think he still needs more seasoning, but I see an improvement in him. He is a talented kid.
It's a tremendous challenge because Canelo is a tremendous fighter, bigger and stronger, and he can punch and time you. But just because you're smaller, Crawford will come up with a game plan that will make the other guy use his size, McIntyre said during an interview with Fight Hub TV. He gave high praise to the undefeated Crawford, who is linked to facing Canelo either in May or September. Crawford, who has all the tools to win a third undisputed crown in another weight class, is seen by hardcore boxing fans as having the potential to beat Canelo. You have to know boxing to be able to say that, BAC shared with Fight Hub TV. If the Canelo vs. Crawford fight were to happen on either May 3rd or 10th, 2 weekend dates near Cinco de Mayo, it would be a major boxing event. However, Canelo might be waiting to see the outcome of the February 22nd fight between light heavyweight rivals Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. Beterbiev won the first fight last year, which adds another layer to the possible Canelo matchup. That's all for now. For the best updates on news, moments, events, and actions in the world of boxing, stay connected by subscribing to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications for new content. Until next time, peace out.